is it snagging season still here in Norway House? Yeah? Who's asking? But I ask that question in every community I go in because I'm real nosy like that. And I was in a really small community and they said, yeah, we don't have snagging season. We call it swapping season. They're sick. They told me that in Kaduli Lake. Holy moly. So when I first started doing stand-up comedy, I was trying to write some jokes, eh? And I was like, maybe I'll start writing jokes. Maybe I'll start with knock-knock jokes. You know, start off simple. But then I was like, I don't know. Us natives, we don't really knock, eh? You know? And if we do, like, have you ever tried to knock on a blanket door? And it's real dusty. You knock too hard, it comes flying off its tacks. So I was like, no, I better not try and write any knock-knock jokes. And actually, I'm just in my 3rd year of doing stand-up comedy. Thanks. But I remember the very first time I did stand-up, it was on Zoom and it was during the pandemic. And I thought, this will be easy, you know? Because I was scared of performing in front of real people. And there I was in my office. And if anyone here is familiar with Zoom, you're just on your computer or your phone or your tablet. And I was in my office and I was telling jokes. And then I realized that everybody had their cameras off and their mics. So every time I told a joke, I couldn't even tell if I was funny or not. I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. So I started flipping through the pages on the computer, all frantic, and I came across this one older native lady. And I don't think she knew she had her camera on, because she was sitting in her living room in her pajamas, eh? Oh, it's real dark. Start doing shadow puppets up here. But that lady, I'm like, what's this lights? I don't know. Anyway, sorry. That lady that I was watching on Zoom, like I said, I don't think she knew that her camera was on, because she was sitting in her PJs on her living room floor, eating chips like no one was watching, eh? Just shoving them in there real good. But every time I told a joke, I watched her. And she'd go like this. So I thought to myself, I must be funny, hey? Either that or she needs the Heimlich maneuver and she's choking on some chips. So that was my first time. So some of you guys might know me from TikTok, Facebook, Walmart in Winnipeg. But I managed to create a career for myself through social media, which I think is pretty cool. You know, considering we're at a career fair today, it's pretty neat. So I created this online presence, and then all the opportunities I got came after that. But it was really neat though, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a young person, so to be on social media and TikTok and stuff like that, I was like this old broad, trying to be all cool. Trying to make good videos on TikTok. And I remember the first time somebody recognized me, I was at Polo Park Mall, and it was these young boys, and they were like, oh my God, Sherry McKay. And I was like, oh. And they were like, you're the goat. And I was all offended because I didn't know what that meant. And I was like, what the hell are they talking about, calling me a goat? And then my daughter said, well, goat means greatest of all time. But it was like at that moment where I realized, like, all these young kids, they have different lingo, and it's just a different generation. And I remember, you know, I'm very bad at autocorrect and spell check and all that stuff. And
I remember one of the first times when I was on Facebook and I seen IYKYK. You guys ever see that? IYKYK? And because I'm older, I thought it was the new LOL. But I thought it was the sound of laughter, yuck, yuck. Until one day I seen it post as something sad. I said, IYKYK. And I was like, oh, okay, so it's not supposed to be funny. So I asked a friend of mine. I was like, what's IYKYK? And she said, if you know, you know. And I said, the heck with you too then if you don't want to tell me. Rude. Yeah, spell check and autocorrect always do me dirty. I'm not allowed to write certain emails without someone double checking it for me. I had a friend recently reach out to me and was like, hey Sherry, can you give me a ride? And she's way on the other end of town and I didn't want to give her a ride. So I just texted her back, you're too far. But it auto-corrected to you're too fat. And I was like, oh, shit. And I went to go explain myself. And she messaged me back really fast and was like, Sherry, you're fatter. Like, what does that have to do with anything? I was like, you mean farther? Yeah. I had a friend one time, I hadn't heard from her in a few weeks. So I went to check in on her real quick. I texted her, you good? But it auto-corrected to, you goof. She's like, this is why I haven't talked to you in a couple weeks, because you're mean. Just call me a goof out of nowhere. Holy. So I think it was really neat seeing all the kids and all the youth at the school today. I'm a mom. I have kids of my own. I have 4 kids. And man, I think about my kids sometimes and a lot of the things that I had to teach them, because us as adults and caregivers, we have to teach our kids right from wrong and stuff like that, and put in a lot of effort because they grow up into adults, And I remember my oldest boy, we were on the bus and we lived in Edmonton, and he was probably about 3 or 4 years old, and he was like, Mom, look at that guy. And he went to go like that and point at this man outside the bus. And I pushed his hand down. I said, my boy, we don't point with our fingers. We point with our lips. But we do, right? I said, no, the reason was, the teaching behind it that I was taught was that when you point one finger at someone, whatever you're saying about them, you have 3 fingers pointing back at you. So you better be saying something nice, You better be saying something kind. So he put his hand down and he thought about it. And he goes, Mom, he's handsome. I was like, you got me, my boy. Man, kids are too smart for their own darn good. So does Norway House have that Facebook group? Are we dating the same guy? Are we dating the same uncle? I asked that question in a northern community, further northern community, and they were like, no, we don't have that Facebook group, but yeah, we all did date the same guy. His name's Clifford. He's right here. And they pointed out some handsome uncle. But it was so funny because I was talking about that, and this older Native man got all mad. He was all heated. I guess he got posted on there maybe. And he was like, yeah, I'm going to start my own Facebook group called, Are We Uncling the Same Auntie? They've got 2 followers. Man. So I travel to a lot of different communities, and I was in this one community called Beardy, Saskatchewan. And I'll always remember this community because it was a moment in my career where I got humbled. by a res kid. And I was there at the community hall, and this little cute res kid came running up to me. Shoes were on backwards, hey? He was wearing swimming trunks, and he had a big Kool-Aid stain on his top lip. It's real cute. And he came running up to me, and I thought he was going to ask for a picture. And he goes, "Hey." And I was like, "Yeah?" Hey. And he goes, "How come you have no neck?" I was like, "Oh, what, this guy?" Hey, he's scared. I was like, "Geez, who's this little guy?" Just humbled me really, really good. I was really in my feels because I made a lot of uncles happy with this neck, you know what I'm saying? I thought I had a pretty good neck. But I said to him, "I don't know. How come you don't have a dad?" Just kidding, I didn't say that. Let's get canceled. I like that joke because I don't have a dad either. But he had me thinking about my neck. I was just, dwelling on it. And then I remembered when I got into a car accident a few years ago, and they put me on one of those boards and they put a neck brace on me. And my boyfriend at the time, we were in triage, an emergency, real serious, eh? And he turns and he looks at me. And he starts laughing at me in the emergency room. And I was like, "What the heck's this guy laughing at?" And I said, "What?" And he goes, "Oh, I just didn't realize that neck braces have adjustable measurements." I was like, "Adjustable measurements? Well, what does mine say?" And he said, "Well, there's extra large, large, medium, small, extra small, and you, neckless." I had to take a selfie, hey, just because I didn't believe him. And it said neckless. I was like, that's less than a neck. Like, what the heck? I was like, geez. Someone said it's an Ojibwe thing. I don't know. But then I started having these flashbacks when I was younger, and I would make out with boys in my grandma's basement. And I'd get hickeys, and they'd be all the way up here. Yeah, something I had to come to terms with. I was real choked. Hey. That was a hard thing to swallow. Hey. Okay, I'll stop talking about my lack of neck. So I grew up poor. I usually go, "Anyone else grow up poor?" Right? It builds character, I have a lot of appreciation for a lot of things because I grew up without toilet paper. I'm like, do you know how many things I know how to wipe my bum with? No, but I talk about like growing up in poverty. Not that I'm trying to normalize it or make it okay, but sometimes there are things that are out of our control. And but here's the thing: is I didn't know I was poor until I went to a friend's house. I thought we had it pretty good. I went to my friend's house. This was during the holiday season, and I went to her house. It smelled like cinnamon. They had pine cones, on the shelves and stuff. And I was like, pine cones? Who the hell would put pine cones in their house? And they had a tray on the kitchen table of mixed nuts, almonds, walnuts, chestnuts, all kinds of nuts, eh? With that big fancy nutcracker, the big red one. I was like, holy heck. Did you come to my house? We had a tray on our kitchen table too, but it was a tray of mixed butts. Some rolling papers there, eh? Roll yourself a good smoke, go ahead. Usually people go, aw. My grandma used to have those cigarette rolling competitions with me and my cousin. Anyone here ever do that? Whoever rolled the fastest cigarettes? Steal a couple for later? Oh, man. So I'm a part of a comedy duo called the Deadly Aunties. And we just finished our second tour a couple of weeks ago. And but our first tour, we drove across Canada. And I was like, I want someone to know when we're rolling through town. So I got a personalized license plate. And I was like, well, you can't put Deadly Aunties on a license plate because you're only allowed 7 characters for MPI, right? So I was like, okay, I got it. I sent it in. I got my plates in the mail. I put it on my car. And I went to take a picture of it. And my oldest son comes out. He's like, who's Diddly Nuts? I was like, what? I looked at it. DDLYNTS. Deadly Aunties. He's like, no, actually, it looks like Deadly Knits. I still have the license plate on my car. But I had to put a sticker on it that's like Deadly Aunties just so people know now. Oh, man. Has anyone here watched Little Bird? Yeah, I got like 1 or 2 people. Okay, so anyone who hasn't watched it, this isn't going to ruin it for you, okay? But Little Bird is a limited series. It was on Crave, PBS, and APTN. And it was about the 60s scoop. So it's a little bit of a heavier show. But the showrunner for that show had messaged me and asked me, hey, Sherry, I think it'd be great if you auditioned for a part. I'd never done anything like that in my life, so I was super excited, right? I was like, heck yeah. So they sent me the script. I looked at the character, the scene, everything. I thought I had it down pat. So I go for my audition. And they're like, okay. They're like, okay, Sherry, you're going to walk in with groceries, say your lines, everything. So I walked in with my groceries, and I said, okay, wait. Now, do I throw the groceries down and then clock the woman? And when I punch her, is it like a rabbit punch or is it like an uppercut? And he's like, what? You're not punching anybody. What are you talking about? And I was like, it says you clock the woman. You know what I mean? Like I clock the woman. And he was like, no, clock as in C. I was like, ever sick? No, I'm not punching anyone. I was like, okay. And then it says, okay, and then you give your husband a head nod and say, who's this? To the strange woman in your kitchen. So I go in and I'm like, who's this? He's like, no, you gotta like come in like gentle. You know, like this. Who's this? I was like, who wrote this? Because if I found a strange woman in the kitchen with my man and my kids, yeah, you bet I'd be going like this. So I didn't get the part. It was a little bit too rugged. But the lady who did get the part, she played it perfectly. It was a perfect fit for her. But I was kind of sad. So she messaged me and she was like, Sherry, sorry you didn't get the part, but we have a perfect part for you, actually. I was like, okay, well, what is it? And she's like, a prostitute. I was like, oh my God. Yes. I was like, heck yeah. Do I got to go do research? What do they call it? Method acting? So if you watch it, you'll see me. I have a very short scene in there where I'm talking to the main character and I'm trying to help her find her sister. So watch Little Bird if you want. If you want to see me as a prostitute. Jeez. Whew, it's hot up here. So this is my first time performing at a job fair. I was like, man, if this set doesn't go good, I might have to apply for one of these jobs out here. Well, man, it had me thinking it, because when I tell people that I'm a comedian, they're like, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm a stand-up comedian. Their first initial instinct is to be like, just tell me a quick joke. That's not fair, because you don't go up to your gynecologist and say, hey, come dig around for a real quick bit. Or ask your dentist to pull a quick tooth. But I was thinking about job titles, because sometimes the lamest job has the coolest title. For instance, when I was younger, my mom worked the night shift, and I'd see her. She always wore black, hey? She'd be packing her lunch, putting on her makeup, and she'd be heading out the door at 9, 10 o'clock at night. And I was like, holy heck, where's this? What is she doing? Like, what kind of job does she have? And I remember I asked her. And I thought, holy heck, what a real deadly job. Until I found out that she was just working at Zeller's restocking the shelves. But her job title was Night Stalker. In my brain, I pictured her like, those cartoons, like tiptoeing around at night. Like a hero or something. No, she's just restocking tampons. 3 a.m. But it must run in the family, because my first job, my daughter asked me, because she started looking for work. And she's like, Mom, what was your first job? And I said, well, my first job, my girl, was I was a foot hawker. And she goes, ew. I was like, what do you mean, ew? I was like, it was pretty good. I got paid lots, And she goes, weren't you only like 16? I was like, yeah, I just turned 16. I was a foot hawker, and I made some really good money. And she's like, isn't that illegal? I was like, no, I had a permit. And she's like, well, what were some of the things you would say? I was like, wait, what do you mean? What would I say? She's like, well, yeah. Like, what would you say to the feet? I was like, She said, well, you said you were a foot talker. I said, no, I was a foot hawker. I could just imagine what she was thinking, hey? I was like, just whispering to bunions. Just talking sweet nothings to someone's plantar fasciitis. But I was thinking about that. I was like, I wish stand-up comedian had like a cool name, or like Night Stalker. I think the most clever name that I got called recently was a traveling clown. Man. I feel like I'd like to be called like a laugh technician. Hey, that's kind of cool. Laugh technician, or a ha-ha engineer. Or ever sick. So I'm sober. So I'm sober now, guys. Thanks. That little baby's all, woo! Yeah, I don't have any sobriety jokes that I could tell here tonight, but I just wanted to let you guys know I'm 434 days sober. Oh, man. But you know what we do sometimes? Well, at least I know what I did, is I just kind of switched addictions a little bit. So now I like to gamble. I went from like drinking to gambling. you know. I was like, and now I'm addicted to losing money. But I like going to the casino. Anyone here like to go to casino? Oh, no? Don't lie. Just kidding. Well, I like to go to casino, and I like to do a couple of things when I'm there. Well, I like to eat. You know, eating at casinos, good. I like to play a couple games. I like to play the slot machines. And I like to play, are they Filipino or are they native? Man, some of those guys from Peguis will really trick you. Oh, I love it though. I always say, like, I feel like there was a missed opportunity with our Filipino relatives there. Because, like, they love Indian casinos, and we love Asian buffets. We could have just had, like, this really big, deadly casino/buffet, you know? Oh my gosh, you guys. So I recently did my ancestry DNA. Has anyone here ever done that? Probably not, eh? I was curious. And man, I found out that I have over 3% Neanderthal DNA. I was like, oh dang, I wasn't expecting that. But I was like, what do I do with this now that I know that I have 3% Neanderthal DNA, right? What does somebody do with that? When you find out you have 3% of DNA from this one group, I was like, technically, I guess I'm like first peoples. You know, I started looking for like knuckle dragging lessons. Start tapping into that Neanderthal in here. I was like, is that why I like leopard print real lots? I started putting prehistoric baddie in my bio. That's a pretendian joke, guys. Started looking for funding. Oh, man. I think my shapewear's on too tight. It's just squeezing me. And you guys know what shapewear is? Right? Oh, man, I love it, but I hate it. So for those of you that don't know what shapewear is, it's just a really big, tight panty. It's real expensive, too. Oh, man. I remember when I first discovered shapewear, I wore it out to the club. Whew. I was all cute, eh? That shapewear will turn 5 little rolls into one big roll. Sometimes it'll roll up and down. Look like you have 2 loaves of bread under your dress. But I was wearing it, right? And I was feeling myself, and this cute uncle comes walking up to me. I was like, oh my God. He's like, hey. And he did this. And I froze. And I was like, don't. Hey. And he did it again. He was like, hey. I said, I'm shy. I just didn't want him to feel that big panty underneath, eh? Trying to act like I have morals and values, hey? But I started panicking because I was like, how does somebody snag in this big panty? I don't even know his name yet either, eh? But I was talking about this because I'm like, I'm new to this big panty situation. And this girl came up to me after a show and she goes, oh, don't worry about that. You know what you should do is next time you're in that position, you're in his bathroom, take it off, roll it up, toss it under his sink. He'll never know. So I was like, oh, okay. So I did it. But I forgot it there. It's like, shit. My big expensive panty. I was like, should I go back for it? No. And then I started, thinking of these scenarios in my head. What if he's cleaning his bathroom one day and he finds it and he's like, what the hell is this? This panty liner's still stuck to it and everything. I was like, I'll just leave it there. Just ignore him next time I see him. I heard someone earlier mention, it was the chief, mention Elon Musk, eh? And I was thinking, because I seen a picture of him the other day, picture of Elon Musk, and he's a strange fella. But I was looking at his face, and I was like, I feel like he could be like a light-skinned uncle. Yeah? He's got like really high cheekbones, those little tiny eyes, eh? Man. He's built like a ice cream cone. Did you know that he has 14 kids? Well, it sounds like kind of uncle-y to me, hey? Several baby mamas. The crazy thing is his mom was born in Saskatchewan. That's crazy, eh? And I was like, plus he invented Starlink. He's like, I'm going to bring Wi-Fi to all the reses. I was like, what would his name be? Elongated muskrat. Ever ugly? Oh, man. I have to look at my jokes because I had to cut a bunch. I didn't know we were going live. Oh, we're not live? We are? Oh. Live from Norway house. Oh. Okay. When I first started telling jokes, I heard this one joke. And one of the things that I used to do on TikTok is I would take modern day things, non-indigenous things, and put a twist on it and indigenize it. I used to steal stuff and make it an Indian, make it native. So I heard this joke, and it was this older native man. He's walking down this res road, and he comes across this dog, and this dog has a sign around its neck, and it says, "Free talking dog." So he goes up to that dog, and he goes, "Is it true? Can you talk?" And that dog goes, "Oh, yes. Not only can I talk, but I'm a champion beater. I got beadwork all across North America, even in the Smithsonian." That guy's, wow. And he goes, "And not only that, I teach hand drum songs to the kids at the school." That guy goes, "Wow." And he goes, "And not only that, I call bingo for the seniors, the old folks' home." That guy's blown away, hey? And he's like, "Wow, you're amazing." But he's kind of mad, because why is this guy giving him away? So he goes up to the owner's house, bangs on the door. The owner opens it. "Yeah?" And he goes, "That's your dog?" He says, "Oh, yeah." And he goes, "Why are you giving away such a amazing dog?" And he goes, "Oh, because he's a liar. He never did any of those things." Or you guys are just picturing him beating away, singing songs, eh? I stole that joke. Holy heck, it's hot up here. So, one of the things that I like to do, this is my most favorite thing to do, is get on stage and tell jokes, right? Even if I bomb, even if the joke's not funny, I tell myself, they're laughing in here. But the thing is, like I mentioned earlier, when I first started telling jokes and I was on Zoom, the hardest part for me was performing in front of like real people. And it wasn't just because I was shy, it was because I have insecurities. You know, we all have insecurities. And when I first started, my biggest insecurity was this. Camera, zoom in. But I was insecure about this part, hey? I'm a mom. He zoomed in. Here. was insecure about this. And I was like, I'm a mom, Of course I got a mom bod. Dad bods are hot, mom bods are hot too. But I was really insecure about this, and I used to hide it. But it's making me money now. So we're traveling the world. Hey. But when I was talking about this older white lady came up to me after a show one time, and she goes, "You know what we call that? We call that a mother's apron. Because after you have the baby, the skin hangs like an apron." I was like, hold it. Just real graphic. Jeez. But I was like, I know us Native women, well, for me, I call it a flap. Call it what it is. Because when I run, it flaps. When I run downstairs, it claps. You guys ever have that? You do something and you hear clapping and you're like, where's that come from? And it's just you there. That's an applause for you. And us Native women, we call it a gunt. I always say this is my motto. And it's not a dirty word. It's with a G. Gunt. Always trust it. And my ex, he called it a hat. IYKYK. You know what, you guys? That's my time for this evening. Thank you guys so much. I was like, going through my jokes, and I'm like, nope, nope. So my apologies for the shorter set. It's a little bit too crazy. All right, now we have Ashley.
Okay, a round of applause for Sherry McKay. That was awesome. Okay, well, thank you for attending tonight's show. For those of you who are conference participants, we'll see you in the morning. We have another really exciting day planned, and tomorrow is our Wolves Den business pitch competition. Thank you so much to everyone who participated in the career fair for setting up, tearing down, setting up over here, and then bringing everything back. This was a really wonderful evening, and I look forward to tomorrow. Have a restful evening.